Do you know what your values are and why they are important? Hello, my name is Bea Dominguez. I'm the founder of the School of Personal Transformation, and today I'm going to walk you through an exercise that will help you understand what your values are and how you're living them right now in your life. Get a pen and paper and let's get started. Right, so here we are. Welcome back. As you see, I have a PowerPoint ready for you to walk you through this exercise. I hope you have your pen and paper, and if not, that's cool too. Maybe you just want to watch right now and then go back to the video with a pen and paper after you've seen what it is actually that we are doing today. So let's get started then right here. So why is it important to know what your values are? Big question. Um, and the answer would be the more you are aligned with your values, the more you are living the life that you are meant to live. Um, Let me read it again. The more you are aligned with your values, the more you're living the life that you're meant to live. So the answer lies within there, why it is important to know what your values are, because the more you can live aligned with your values, the more you are actually being you and living the life that you're meant to live, living the life, being the person you're meant to be, which is what it's all about at the School of Personal Transformation. Become the person you're meant to be. So first of all, well, let's look at what values actually are. They are a set of principles that you use to measure situations and make you act one way or the other, right? Um, so already there make you act one way or another. So they do influence your behavior, your values that you have for yourself, which is like a set of principles. Next one is your values tell you what you think is right and wrong. So really important here is actually to understand that it is what you think is right and wrong. And if you think what is right and wrong for you, everybody else will also think what's right and wrong for themselves according to their values. And this one is really important to understand, because if we can understand that every single person has their own set of values, we can understand behaviors each much better, and the way we communicate with each other, and how we confront sometimes each other, or how we find each in difficulties communicating with each other, and having conflicts. So understanding that each of us has their own set of principles with which we measure what's wrong and right, we can resolve conflicts or even avoid them sometimes. And the last one is what is important to you or not, right? Again, what is important to you is maybe not important to somebody else. And what is not important to you is maybe important to somebody else. So again, in relationships, this comes really true every day when we want to do something, when we want something in our lives, but the other half just doesn't. They don't see what the importance is, or why, they find it maybe silly, and that's when it really becomes difficult if we don't express ourselves. And to express ourselves, we actually first have to understand why we feel this is important, because it's connected to a value you have. And if somebody does then not respect our value, we start feeling hurt maybe. And then if we start feeling hurt, we stop communicating, because the other person did hurt us, when the other person just didn't understand that that one was important to you, because it's a value that you hold high and maybe doesn't even show on the radar of the other person. So being really aware of your values also means being aware that everybody else has their own values. And with that awareness, you can start to create a much better communication with yourself and with the people around you. Your behavior is influenced directly by your personal values. I would go as far as saying your behavior is a result of your values. Little quote there that I let you read yourself. And what I have to say to that is the wisdom and the courage. That's again what you need to learn. If that's not something you have been taught, and most of us haven't, when we grow up, we are being taught a lot of other things which are important as well, not taking away from them. But to really become yourself and to really understand who you are and what is important to you is to have that wisdom, to have that awareness that I'm hoping to create with all the videos that I'm sharing with you, and with the learning that I'm sharing with you, and what the School of Personal Transformation is giving you that information to also step into that zone and have the courage to live your values according to your to live your life according to your values. Moving on, part of the exercise is starting now. What you see in front of you is a list of common values. There are tons of lists out there. You just have to Google values and go to images, and you get loads of lists of values. Some of them are the same, and then some lists have other values that you won't see right now on my list. Choose one is what I recommend. Choose one and work with that one. You can also always add your own if you feel something is missing in the list you have in front of you. While I'm talking, I'm sure you are having a look through what's on this list, which is good. That's what it's for and why I've it here. But what I really want you to do is to pick 10 values. And for some of you, this might be really easy. Yes, this is them. It might be difficult because you have actually more than 10, which is great as well. You may pick more than 10. And for some of you, this is actually difficult because you've never really worked with this kind of awareness with these kind of words and this kind of connection between what the words are and what they mean to you, how you connect to them. So if you need a little bit more time with that, then that's absolutely fine. This is why it's a video. You can go back to it, pause it. I actually want you to take your time with this and pick 10. In some exercises, I say pick 20 and then narrow it down. But right now, for this one, pick 10 that speak the most to you, right? So when you read through and you go like, oh yeah, adventure is super important, which was one of my values back in the days. Pick that one. You will feel which ones speak more to you. Which, if you keep reading, I'm trying to find some that doesn't read right away to me, which is difficult. You see, I'm having the difficult. Professionalism, that's one that, yes, I can appreciate that. And back in the days, it was more important to me when I had to walk into an office and be the boss over there. And when I was running my own business and I had to look professional, I had to be professional. I had to be careful with what I say. I care less about that right now. Right now, it's more important to me to be true, to have integrity. That is actually my top value, and that means professionalism can go. So while I'm reading through, I can feel which ones are less important and which ones are more. So have a go with that, and when you have your 10, you go to the next step, which is you ask yourself these 3 really, really important questions. Now, you have to do that with each one of them. So that's why I'm saying pick only 10, because 20 might be too much to do. And I'd rather have you do 10 than none or 3, or do the exercise halfway. If you want to do it with all 20, that's wonderful. If not, pick your 10, and then with each one of them, write it down. It's really important that you write down. Whenever we do an exercise, write down the answers, write down the questions, write down the answers, because it's a way of taking more time, of processing the information a little bit more. While you're writing down, you're seeing what you're writing down, you're thinking about what you're writing down. It has a much better effect for writing it down. So please, whenever you have the chance, sit down. If you're listening to this right now because you're driving somewhere, that's great. That will sink in as well. And then when you get home, write it down. So ask yourself with each value the first question: why is it important to me? So my value, one of my top values, is integrity, right? Why is it important to me? Well, it's important to me because that just means I get to live the life I want, and I get to be the person I want, right? Integrity for me means whatever I do, no, the other way. Whatever I think, I speak. And whatever I speak, I do. All these three things are aligned because whatever I think is what I really truly want to do. I really learned to have this deep connection, and you will learn this too, to have this deep connection with what I feel is what I want, and that feeling is always right. I go with my intuition. I've learned to trust myself and learned to follow my intuition. So what I think, I then want to speak. Now that's difficult sometimes. Because I'm still working, and I will be working for the rest of my life. We all change, we all grow, and that's a good thing. And sometimes it's difficult for me to still say what I think. I still have these self-doubts coming in, thinking about what other people will think about me, especially if I know they're going to disagree. Some of my ideas, some of my lifestyle, quite proudly so, is different from other lifestyles. But sometimes when you have to confront and defend, it feels like you need to defend your ideas. Those conversations can be uncomfortable. But to live with integrity and to be able to live my life the way I want to live it, I have to confront those difficulties. And then the last one would be to do what I think, what I say. And that one can be difficult as well sometimes, because usually or very often I swim against the stream, or I'm on my own, following, and have my own tribe around me. But my own tribe is not the common tribe we know there. So it's a practice. It takes practice to align those three and to live with integrity. But it's so super important to me, because it just means I can be whoever I want to be. And at the end of the day, when I do that, I feel the most amazing. After I go through all the difficulties that may show up, sometimes they don't, sometimes it's super easy to be myself. I feel there's actually, it's really difficult to describe how I feel. I feel full. I feel I'm wholehearted. I feel serene, and I feel really, really good about myself. So that's why it's important for me, integrity. And I remind myself what integrity means to me, and I have it actually on a wall, so I can see it every day and remind myself to be that person and to do what feels right. How do I know I'm living the value on a daily basis? So that's a really good question. It's really important. For two reasons, I suppose. One reason, it reminds you, when you feel good, it reminds you about why, how, it reminds you of living more of it. So if you look at it, how you're living it in your daily life, if you look at the positive side and find those situations when you're living it, you get the self-confirmation, the self-awareness. And that's really important, to create awareness of, yes, I'm living it, and that's why I'm feeling in such a good way. So check in with yourself. How and where are you living your daily life, your values in your daily life? On the other side, if you find integrity is really important to you, like in my case, and then I ask myself, how do I know I'm living it on a daily basis? And I come up with very little, and I go like, well, I actually don't, because I really don't speak the truth. I don't speak what I want to say. It's a good reminder of asking myself, well, if it's such important to myself, if this value is important, why am I not living it? And why am I then not living it? And then you have this opportunity, you just created this opportunity to either reevaluate your values or go back like, okay, this is an opportunity to work towards myself, to work towards my value. If this is important to me, if this value is important to me, I have now the opportunity to integrate it into my life. And that's what you want to do. You want to start little and grow big. So, you know, in my case with integrity, well, where I feel comfortable with the people I feel comfortable with, my family, for example, I start saying what I think. And then when I start saying what I think, I start acting upon my thoughts and upon my words, right? And this way I start noticing how I'm living it in my daily life. Does that make sense? Go check yourself. It's a really good question to check. It's a really tick box exercise to check how much of your values you're currently living. And if you're not, ask yourself why. And if you want to live them, if you have an opportunity now to increase that. And then how much are you living it on a scale 1 to 10 on a daily basis? So if you are, I'd say, you know, 1 you are, but it's very little, this question is really good because it helps you to understand, well, if it's only 1 and I really want it to be a 10, what can I do to take it to a 2, right? Or if you're currently on a 5, you're doing it like halfway, you know, you can feel it's there, but there's a lot missing. What does it take you then to take it from a 5 to a 6? What we want with these scales, whenever you ask yourself on a scale 1 to 10, where are you? And if you're not on a 10, and most of us are probably not on a 10, I would say even after all the work that I've done and, you know, who I am and what I do, you know, on most days, I'm probably on a 8.5, 9. On really good days, I'm on a 10. Yes, I can live my 10 days. But on the other days, you know, I still have to work. And it's good because it keeps us alive. It keeps us alert of what we're doing, right? So if you're on a 6 or if you're on a 5, what's one thing you can do that take you 1 step up? You don't want to go from a 5 to a 10. That's where we fail a lot, when we have these unrealistic goals. Reminder, you can watch the goal setting video. Instead, ask yourself, how can I grow 1 step up from a 5 to a 6? What can I do that takes me to step 6, right? What's this one thing, the easier things? You may want to write it down, what options you are. And when you write down options, whenever you do that, just write them down. Don't say right away, oh yes, but no, and this is not realistic. And that's probably never going to happen. No, when you have this moment to write down options, it's a brainstorm exercise. You write them down as they come to your head. And once you dump them all out, you take a deep breath, you look back at them and say, right, and which one of these are actually realistic? Do I want to take forward? This is really important because if we're starting to what's the word? If we're starting to ask ourselves, you know, while we do the exercise of writing down our options, if we're starting to eliminating them already, what we're really doing is we're stopping the creativity in our head of just writing down options. And in that very moment, they may seem unrealistic, and then we put them away. We stop other thoughts to come through, so it's a double bad. And when at the end, maybe that one option you had written down wasn't so bad if you have the right moment to think about that option. So when you write down options, write them down. This is a top tip. That's it's a top tip. Write them down and later go through them one by one and see, well, which one of them is the easiest I can do right now, or which one is the fastest I can do right now. Which one is the one that takes me the closest to my goal right now, right? There's different ways to choose your options, which is another reason why you don't want to eliminate them, why you write them down, because you want to choose your option according to what your need is. Do you need to get fastest somewhere, or do you want to get somewhere for sure in a slow process? Depending on the resources you have, you want to choose your option depending on the timing right now, on the how realistic is it right now to choose one option over the other. So those are all tips on choosing your option that will then get you from step 6 to step 7 on how much you're living your value on a current on a daily basis. Okay, like that was not enough fun, right? I have more fun for you. When you have your list of 10, and after you have done the exercise of asking yourself those 3 questions, right? After you have done that, then you do the more fun bit. Then you go back to your list of your 10 values and you write them down from the most to the least important, right? Your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10. And the 10 is the least important one on the top. You write down the one which at that moment you think is most important to you, whatever feels most important to you. Don't overthink this exercise. You can go back to it, which is actually part of this bullet point. So write it down 1 to 10. And it's important to do it after you have done the 3 questions, because you will be more aware of why you chose those 10 values. And also, if while you're doing these 3 questions, you think like, oh, this value, actually, I don't like it anymore. That's okay. Go back to the list, pick another one, right? And then come forward again, ask yourself those questions until you get back to the more fun bit. And then when you have your list 1 to 10, which ones are your top 3? They're right there in front of you, right? 1, 2, 3. Which ones are they? That's really good to know what your top 3 values are at this very day. Again, this may or may not change. You'll be actually quite surprised how that is reflected in your life. And also, if you're going through a transformation, I want to say that right now, your list before and after your transformation is not going to be the same unless you write a list of a lot of wish values that are currently really not represented in your life, which is absolutely okay, because then you have a list already that you can work yourself towards to on a scale 1 to 10. That's how you get to live the life you want to live. That's how you become the person you want to be. If you see that your values are full of wish values because you're currently not really living them, that's great. Then you have a lot of work to do, but that's the fun bit, right? So what is opening up for you right now? And part of what I just said about the wish values, that may open up to you right now. You may see I have a whole bunch of values that are actually currently not represented in my life. So, okay, what do you do with that? See what else is opening up to you. This is really work you want to do, and I'm happy to hear from you. If you have any questions, this is where coaching does kick in, because I can help you, I can guide you a little bit more. So if there's anything you don't understand or nothing is opening up for you, do contact me. Write down in the comments, or if you want to do this in private, email me in private. Absolutely fine, but see what's opening up for you by doing this exercise. Are all your values represented? Are you quite happy? Are you surprised by values that you chose because you didn't think that's actually who you are? Can you see how in your daily life you're not able to communicate your values? Do you see how you put your values, or you have been putting your values on other people? Can you see some of your conflicts, why they are there? Do you see how you have values, but then you're actually living the opposite? I get this a lot. Communication is a big value for me. This is really important, communication. And then when I do the coaching and they tell me about what's going wrong in their relationships, or and not only your intimate relationships, but just generally your communication with other people, well, yeah, I haven't told them what I think, and now I'm really upset because this and this happened. And I remind them, well, but remember, communication is important to you. This is why it's hurting you right now, why it's hurting you, why people are not really responding to you, not communicating back to you, because it's important for you, communication. It's important for you that people communicate to you, But while it's important that people communicate to you, it's also important that you communicate to others, right? Communication is not a one-way process at all, whatsoever. Top tip. Communication is a two-way process. You are saying what you have to say, what you want to say, and then um, the your answer after you communicate is then to listen, right? Communication is not only about what we say, it's also about listening what the other person has to say. And that's where it's a two-way process, right? You say, they listen, they say, you listen. So if communication is important to you, you may want to think about, how well have you been communicating? You'd be surprised. You probably haven't doing it very well, although it's important to you. And now you have a tool. Now you know why you get upset. And now you can improve your communication, knowing well that is important to you, and you can actually communicate that to the other person. They look, to me, it's really important to communicate. And is there anything you want to change, right? You want to scrap all your 10 values? Do it. Go back to the list, find another 10. You want to bring one up, and that's currently number 8, 9, 10 on your list, and you want that one to make you number 1? Do it. It's your list, right? I've given already some examples, but I think and people love it when I talk about my life and give examples, and I loved it. In the sharing is the learning. This is how I learned. The maturity of my knowledge was by doing group coaching. Me sitting in the group coaching, quite intense group coaching calls, not calls, but seatings, meetups with some of superb coaches. So sharing is also loving. So my example, these are actually my top 10 values that I've picked from my journal. Top 1, love. No, not top 1, sorry. These are the 10 that I've written down after I've gone through the list of values. Love, family, integrity, passion, honesty, security, safety, fun, health, freedom. I then did the exercise of prioritizing them from 1 to 10. And there you can see, I told you already, integrity is my top value. Passion, my number 2. Family, my number 3. Then the love, honesty, security, safety, fun, health, and freedom. It is number 10. Now, I did say that your list will change after your transformation, and this is certainly my list after my personal transformation. It would have looked quite different before. Why? Because before, freedom was my number 10. I liked to travel. I was alone. I had no child I was responsible for, and it was really important for me to do what I wanted to do. Right now, it's still important. This is another top tip, I suppose. Just because it's not on your number 1 or number 1, 2, 3 list, it's still important to you. It still exists. It doesn't go away. Freedom is still important to me. I choose to be free. By choosing, to not go back to a 5 to 7 job, 5 to 6, no, not 5 to 7, 9 to 5 job. I need the freedom to be home because I need to choose to be also a mom, which is my number 3, to be family. I want to look after my little ones, so I don't want to go back to a job where I have no flexibility at all. I need to be able to be free and work wherever I want to work, so we can also go travel and see the world. Number 1, I talked about it already. Number 1 is so important to me because before my transformation, that integrity wasn't even on my list. And if it was on my list, it was certainly way down. And when I would have asked my question, how important it would have been very important. But how much I was living it on a daily basis, it would have been a 0, because I was not living my life. I was feeding into the life of others, especially in my relationship. But then, I was trying to please everybody else. And yes, I was trying because I wasn't doing really well with it, instead of taking care of myself for whatever reason. Not going into that right now. So when I was finding myself, it was really important for me, after I found myself, to hold on to myself. And I do that now very well. It's quite funny sometimes how you can how you look back and see what you have become actually, because when your integrity, when I feel myself as being is being taken from me, because life around you is still happening, right? People around you still need you, especially your child. But then in a relationship, I put this wall up, and I immediately protect myself, and I make sure that my integrity is there, that I don't go back, to where I have been. And of course I won't be. It's a self-defense mechanism right now that helps me to really be there and be present, which is a wonderful feeling, to know that I really found myself and I'm holding on to that. And I do that with integrity. I do that with compassion to myself and everybody else as well. Passion, this is my passion. Doing that is my passion. I can talk about this every day, all day, and I love it. So it's there, and I'm living it. And family, that one would have been further down as well. When I was living abroad, half of my life, of my adult life, I was living not to where my family is. I moved 5 years ago now. I live here in Spain, back to the roots, back to where my family is. And it's really amazing to be here, to seeing my nephews and my niece grow up, to be close to my sister, and to be close to my parents, and most importantly, to be them close to me, and to be close to my son. That is so important for me right now to share that. Before my transformation, I would have been too selfish. I would selfish in a good way. It doesn't have to be in a bad way. I was living what was important to me, which was living abroad and growing, which at the end brought me to where I am right now. So, and these things were opening up for me when I did that exercise. I saw that, and then I saw security and safety there. Those are things that I never thought about before, but now it's important for me. I need to know that I can pay my bills, and I like to have my own house and have a roof over my head. But these things weren't important for me before. So when I looked at my list, I could see how I have how whenever I had to live these things in the past, I had jobs that were paying me really well, but I hated my jobs. I was in sales, and I needed to have them because I had just moved to a new country, and I couldn't live my passion. So I had to um, I had to have this job so I could earn money and pay my bills. And now, when I did the exercise, I saw um, why they are on my list, and that helped me to understand why security, after all, even though I hated my job, security was more important for me. Being able to pay my bills was more important to me. And I saw that, I understood that now. It was part of my values, and that helped me to actually hold on to my job until I was able to let go of the job and do what's really more important to me, and live my passion. So going through these 4 questions that you have here, the more fun bit, and really spend some time with your values, will really help you to understand yourself more, and to understand how your life is currently looking and what's happening, and really become more aware. And whenever you create more awareness, you have a super opportunity. You create just a great opportunity to change. If it doesn't serve you well, change. That's why we create awareness, to see what works well for you, and to be aware of what doesn't work well for you, and then change whatever needs changing, and have the courage to changing. Because remember, that's the way, that's the path to walk on, to become you, to become yourself, right? I think I have one more fun bit, and I talked about this right now already. There are one could say there's different set of values within the values. There's these drawers that you can pull out, and we have core values, we have wish values, which I talked about, we have idealistic values, and we have operational values. And if you can understand these 4 set categories of your values, it helps you even more to really understand your values and why you're living some more and some less at this very moment, right? And this helps you to be really at peace with yourself. And I'm sharing that with you right now because it helped me to be really at peace. And I shared that with you already, with holding on to that job. It was really difficult for me. I was in sales and it wasn't what I liked, but understanding that that was my operational value, right? It was a means to an end. After I understood, oh yeah, that's an operational value. You know, it's not my core value. It's not my wish value. It's an operational value. That helped me to hold on to the job until I could let go of it, right? Core values are usually the ones that you would die for. Right? That sit within you. For me, it is certainly now, but it probably is throughout your life. It is passion. You know, if I don't have passion in my life, I feel dead. And you know, I need that in my life. I need passion in my life, and I also always did as a child. I was a very passionate child. I was a very passionate teenager, and whenever my passion was crushed, like it would have been when I was living in this relationship that I couldn't be myself, where I lost completely who I was. I lost my passion, and I battled depression. You know, that's why you often battle depression, because your core values are being crashed. It's really good for you to understand which one is your core value, and if it's not a 8, 9, or 10 right now, then you may want to fix that, right? That's what you want to go for, is probably first your core values. Get them back to life, get them back to bloom like a flower. You know, when a flower needs water, it's the core of existence. Is your core value. A wish value, those are nice, you know, those are really nice values to have and to aim for, because those are the ones that tick the box. Those are the ones that get you going. A wish value for me is is to have fun. You know, it's number 8, and that's absolutely fine to have. But I wish I can always have fun in what you do. You know, and if and I aim for that. And if it's not every time I can do that, that's fine. I know life has to be serious sometimes, but fun is really important to me, and I wish I can have fun all day. And actually, my partner, one of you listens to this right now, my partner, who is absolutely amazing, who's the love of my life, and number 4 is for me to have love. And it's not only my partner, but he's one of them. He's quite a serious person sometimes. I love him for who he is. Sometimes we crash because he's so serious and I have fun on my list. And this is really good to do this exercise also with your partners, to really see, I mean, let them do it on their own, but then compare, top tip, compare your top 10 list and see how, you know, how similar or how not similar they are. This is a really good exercise to do with people around you. This is a really good exercise to do in your job as well. You know, I'm not doing a team coaching right now. This is about personal transformation, but personal transformation then translates into teamwork as well. So back to my example, he's a very serious person. Sometimes we clash because I just go and say, my God, can you just be more relaxed about this? You know, can we have more fun? And he looks at me like really puzzled, like, what do you mean? And I just mean, you know, doing refurbishment, which is what we're doing right now at home, which is really a lot of work and it's annoying. And when you're busy, it's really stressful, but I still want to have fun doing that. And he just doesn't get, you know, he doesn't get me at all. He's like, you know, this is not fun. This has to be done right now. This is, you know, there's no fun in this. So, you know, I understand your wish value to have fun all the time might not be the fun value of the other person. Idealistic value goes very well, goes very close with wish value. Ideally, you know, but this is probably, it's probably more deeper. Idealistic value, ideally, you want it in your life. And for me, I mean, health is a core value. I'm looking at them right now. This list probably changed a little bit by now as well. This list is a year old, and in a year, I did quite some growth. Idealistic is probably love is one of them, or family. Ideally, I want that in my life, and I want this to be present. But sometimes, because I can't control the other person, in my life where it involves love of family, ideally I want them to be really high up in my life, and I want them in my life. But if the other person is not being the person who I need them to be, and because I can't change them, another top tip, you can only change yourself. You can't change the other person, right? They have their own values to which they have to live up to. And if they're not happy with their life, they have to change their life and reevaluate themselves and their values. So if the other person, is not who I need them to be, it's not up to me to change them. It's up to me to move away, right? Sometimes people cannot be part of your journey. They may have to get off that train that you are on, that you're traveling on. They may come back on later. Who knows? And who cares? What's important is that you are being the person you set yourself up to be, and your list of 10 values will tell you that, right? So ideally, I want the love in my life. Ideally, I want my family in my life, but sometimes my ideal is not their ideal. Does that make sense now? And I did have that. That's part of the reason why I was not living close to my family for a while, because their lifestyle and my lifestyle wasn't aligned. Remember the alignment that I told you about in the first quote that I read out earlier. Or again, after I realized, my past relationship which was really not aligned at all with my values, to say the least. Ideally, I wanted to have him in my life, and I worked so hard, effortlessly, and actually really stupidly at the end, because I wanted this person to be in my life, because I thought love needs to be in my life. What I didn't realize was that it was the wrong love in my life, right? So ideally, I want love, but first I have to let go of that love. And guess what? After I let go of that love, and when I wasn't looking at all, the love I was living vividly was loving myself, finding myself. And I did that so well. I'm so passionate. That's when all of a sudden this other person popped in my life, the father of my son that I live with today. That's when you find, ideals, when you are able to let go sometimes of your ideal values. They will come back to you in a different form and shape. In operational values, I explained to you already. Sometimes you just got to do something because it will get you to B. It gets you from A to B. It is that stepping stones, and those stepping stones are really important, because that's how we get from 5 to 10, right? Those are your 6, 7, 8, and 9. Those are your operational values. Sometimes we need to do something else to get us to where we want to get. Does that make sense? I hope it does. I really do. I know I talk fast sometimes. That's the passion in me. And I also don't want these videos to go on forever. If anything of this doesn't make sense, I said it already, reach out to me, right? I'm here, as you already know. I have one other quote, which is absolutely wonderful. I'm a fan of quotes because sometimes they just express better what I want to say, and what I'm thinking I can express then. Your values should determine your vision. The quickest way to find to happiness, fulfillment, and peace in your heart is to make sure you are living your values, meaning your ideal life is exemplified by what's important to you. This is a really good quote. It really sums up really well what I was saying to you in the last, I don't know how many minutes. So let that actually sink in, that quote. I'm going to end with that quote today. I'm not popping back into the screen. Let me know your comments. Let me know your questions. Like this video if you liked it. It's, for me, it's communication. It's a two-way process. So I know you're out there. Subscribe to the channel, and don't forget, you lovely women, if all of this sounds good to you, which I'm sure it does, and if you want to learn more, and if you need guidance on your journey of self-healing and finding yourself, then pop into my Facebook group that I have. When I went on my journey, I did the first bit on my own, but then, you know, I got guidance. It's really the guidance that will help you to stay on track, that will give you, you know, the stepping stones that maybe on your own you cannot create. Don't be afraid, you know, have the courage to ask for help, and find your tribe. You know, this doesn't have to be, you don't have to do this on your own. And in another video I talk about this. In order to become yourself, you can't become yourself by yourself. You need other people in your life, and who better than a guide that has lived this, and actually, you know, is actually also a professional coach. So you kind of get both with me. So subscribe to or join the Facebook group. You have the link in the description. And other than that, I'll leave you with this quote, and I see you next Thursday. Mwah. Big kiss.